Hello guys, I'm back from another video, and today we're talking about what if Deku had the Demon Summoning app redo. So, in the last video we talked about how after Izuku came to the dorms and also met his brand new roommate, aka Shinso, he would decide to go to the grocery store to get some ingredients until he heard some, villain goons talking about how the Yakuza, specifically their brand new leader and a brand new villain named Overhaul, has been creating these anti-quirk bullets. After going back, back to the dorms, he would secretly, or should I say that he's gonna be getting himself a treat, quote unquote. But he would get back there and start eavesdropping on those villain goons. After getting there, he would see that Overhaul has Eri with her, and he did hear in the conversation that Eri's being used as one of the ingredients for the quirk destroying bullets, and he was pissed. So after a bit of shenanigans, after going to his factory, he would summon his brand new demon, and this demon is Satan. And Satan would basically demolish the whole thing, destroying Overhaul himself. So, after that, he would bring, Eri to his mother's house, aka, Inko, as he would pretend that, when he came back home, he would get a phone call saying that Inko has another child with her, specifically Eri. And yeah, he would pretend that, he has a brand new sister now, so yeah. So, after that, a bit of shenanigans gone for, a while now, as we moved to, Izuku training as he meets three people. All three of them from Class 1A, and they were Ibara, Kendo, and Monoma. They would explain that they don't want to, become heroes anymore, but instead want to destroy Class 1A, so they want to join the League of Villains. But Izuku would consider that, but on one condition. Someday, that they will become, when they become strong enough, they would destroy All For One and take his throne as the number one villain. Not only that, the number one villain of the world. After being told of this, Izuku would start leaving because he's finished training. After getting back, to the dorms, he would talk to, her, aka, Toga, that he gotten some brand new recruits for the League of Villains. And we left off that episode by Izuku basically going to sleep. So, that's basically what happened last episode. And so, let's talk about what happens next. So, let's go to Izuku at the, dorms of Class 1B, where he sees several Class 1B members basically talking to each other as they hear a knock at the door, as Monoma would open the door as he would see Izuku, as Monoma would say this, "Oh, hey Izuku," as Izuku would say this, "Come on, let's go, remember?" As he would say this, "Remember what? Oh yeah," as they would tell both Ibara and Kendo to come with him because it's finally time for them to meet All For One in person and also finally join the League of Villains. So, they started leaving as the rest of Class 1B would think, they're probably just friends or something. But unfortunately, that would be their downfall. So, when they made it to the League of Villains hideout, they would see the rest of the League of Villains, as one of them, being Shigaraki, would say this. Who is it? As Izuku would say this. These are our brand new members. Meet Monoma, Kendo, and Ibara. They want to join because they hate Class 1A, and I heard that they also hate, as he would smack Monoma across the head as he would say this, "Oh yeah, I want to join you because I want to destroy those heroes who called me weak." As for the rest of, or at least just the other two, they would say that as well. As a, well, TV would turn on, as it's all for one. All for one would say this: Shigaraki, I want you to let them join you. After all, we need some helping hands. Wait for a second, God. Helping hands in this endeavor. After all, we are planning for the invasion of the sports festival. Isn't that right, Izuku? As Izuku would say this, obviously. But I won't be participating in the sports festival itself. More or less, I'm gonna participate in the disturbance of it. As he would say this, so, all for one, is it okay for them to finally join this group of ours? As all for one would say this. As he would look at one of them, being Monoma, as he would say this. Sure, let them join. As all three of them would say, oh thank God, I can't believe it actually worked. As Izuku would say this. Anyway, we should be going back to the dorms. After all, tomorrow is going to be the day of the sports festival. Right, guys? As all three of them would say this. Oh, yeah. As Shigaraki would say this. So, we're gonna be meeting with each other tomorrow, right? As Izuku would say this. Obviously. Including Dobby and Miss Toga. As he would say this. Alright, so, you should start leaving now. As Izuku would say this. See ya, Shigaraki. As they would start leaving. So, back at the dorms, well, all three of them, basically, mostly, Ibara, Kendo, and, well, Monoma, are basically sweating their asses off, as they're basically, like, hyperventilating, saying, I can't believe we actually did it. As Izuku would say this. Well, after all, the League of Villains is still growing, and all for one means to have some great allies to destroy Hero Society itself. Even though I do have the same goals as him. But Chai-E told me that he would be the great disaster, the one that will end the world. And I don't want that. I want him to be destroyed when he realizes that I betrayed him. And then we will strike, killing the rest of the League of Villains. Got it? As they would say this. Right. As Izuku would say this. Good. Now, we should be starting to, get ready for the sports festival. As they would say this. Izuku, are you going to be joining with us at the sports festival? As he would say this. Heavens no. After all, I did register myself as quirkless. So it makes sense that I won't join the sports festival. After all, why would a quirkless person ever participate? As one of them would say this. I see. As Izuku would say this. Anyways, good luck. If you win, at least. As he would go back to his room as he basically falls asleep. Then next day comes as it's finally the day of the sports festival. So, everybody's excited as all of the classes are basically there getting ready for the sports festival, basically wearing their, jumpsuits and things like that. As for Izuku, he's basically in the stands just watching this, with his mother and new adopted sister, aka, well, wait for a second, Eri. But he pretends that he doesn't know her yet, so he would try to pretend that he's trying to be a good brother. I mean, he does want to become a good brother to her because, she did have a pretty horrible life, similar to him, but at least he's trying to pretend that he doesn't know her at all. Inko would be happy about this, as when Mitsuki arrives, she would see Eri, and she would spoil the shite out of her. Yeah, just imagine her just doting on her like a classic aunt. So, when Bakugo was brought up to the stands, he would say his whole speech saying that he's gonna be better than everybody, as everybody would start, well, saying boo. As for Izuku, he would also join in, as Bakugo would see this, as Bakugo would feel bad. For the rest of the class, or most of the classes that are not class 1A, well, let's just say they're basically looking at Bakugo saying, I will tear your freaking heart off. So, Izuku would tell, Inko that he's gonna be going to the bathroom for a second. But unfortunately, he's not going to the bathroom. Instead, going to the entrance and seeing the League of Villains there, pretending to be regular old civilians. As Izuku would say this, so are the other villains here yet? As one of them would say this, not yet, but don't worry. We will be terrorizing this place, says Shigaraki. As Toga would say this, yeah, don't worry, Izuku. Besides, well, our boss, remember, All for One? He told us that the Nomus are prepared and ready, and are going to be teleported in the middle of the sports festival very soon. So, till then, as Davi would say this, let's just watch before the chaos happens. As Izuku would say this, sure, why not? So, wait for a second. God dang it. So, Izuku is currently in the stands with, with his friends and also the rest of the League of Villain members, but he would tell them that he's gonna be going back to his, mother and now adopted sister. As one of them would say this, wait, you have an adopted sister now? As, one of them specifically, Toga would say this, wait, you have a sister? Wait for a second. Wait, you have a sister now? Means as Izuku would say this, no, not like that. Besides, she's basically a child, okay? Anyway, see ya. As he would start leaving, as they would say this, don't forget about the plan. As Izuku would say this, I won't. So, while he's going back to his, seat with his mother, he would, bump into a familiar face. All Might. All Might would look over and see him, as he would say this, oh, hello there, young Midori. As Izuku would say this, shut it, old man. As he would start leaving, as All Might would say this, wait, young Midoriya, wait. As Izuku would say this, what do you want? As All Might would say this, I'm extremely sorry for what I did. I'm really sorry that I made you commit suicide. I'm sorry. You can become a hero. I just need to. As he would say this, enough talking with me. Besides, you're just going to probably trick me into, I don't know, killing myself again. Besides, sorry about that, I no longer want to become a hero anymore. As All Might would say this, young Midoriya. As he would say this, and also, remember that I used to be your biggest fan or whatever? I decided to throw all my shit away, including selling off that, whatever the frick it's called. Anyway, just leave me the hell alone. Or I'll just tell everybody that you're trying to, Anyway, see ya. As he would start leaving, All Might would see this and says to himself, what happened to him? So, when he gets back to his mother, the next event is coming up. The Cavalry Battle, which, when Izuku saw Bakugo basically picking his teammates, Izuku would say this, I'm definitely gonna kill them first, just to see Bakugo fall to despair. So, the match starts as it's basically just like in canon, but except Izuku isn't there. So, Izuku was not even watching anymore. He's just using his headphones and his phone right now. Basically just scrolling through, I don't know, social media. As he gets a call from All for One. As he would tell his mother that he needs to go somewhere to talk to someone. And she would say this, Okay, honey? So, while talking to All for One would say this. So, is it time yet? As Izuku would say this. Seems like a pretty good time now. So, how many Nomus did you make? As he says this. Over 200 million, and more coming in very shortly. As Izuku would say this. That's a lot. Anyway, how many goons? Many as we can currently recruit. Now, are they ready? As Izuku would say this. Oh, we are ready. As Izuku would start transforming, turning into his Naobino form, as his sharp metal claws would appear, as he would say this. Bring out the Nomus. As he would call, or more specifically, text his, the, wait for a second, texts it towards the other, League of Villain members that are around the stadium, as they start getting ready, including Twice. Twice would say that he needs to go to the bathroom, pretending that, he kind of shade himself or something. I don't know. So, when they hear, everybody would see that a beaming red and purple light would appear, as they see several Nomus would appear out of the sky, including some villains, as they start terrorizing the place. So, when Inko and Mitsuki and also Eri would see this, they would start running away, going out of the stadium. Thankfully, they are safe, but the rest of the people, and also some of the heroes in training, and also the heroes that are basically in there, including the top 10 heroes, well, they're basically trapped there, because one villain is being used as basically a shield. So, they started trying to break down the barrier, but unfortunately it doesn't work. As one of them would say this, sorry, but unfortunately you're not leaving. Now, wait for a second. Sorry about that. So, the villain saying this is Shigaraki. As Shigaraki would say this, it's time for you to all die, you damn heroes. Now, kill them all! Slaughter them! As all of these Nomus and villains would start clashing at the heroes in training would start escaping, well, Class 1A and some of Class 1B, because, remember, Monoma, Kendo, and Ibara are now side with the villains. Kind of. They're side with Izuku specifically, but still. So, they would wear their villain costumes, which, just imagine a more simpler version of their, regular costumes, like, for example, Monoma, instead of wearing a, a fancy-ass suit, he's basically wearing, actually, I don't know what to call it. It's basically a blazer, and he's wearing, a button-up, white shirt under that. As for Kendo, just imagine her just wearing, I don't know, basically, a modified, Batman costume, where she basically has weapons and shit like that. I mean, that could work. As for Ibara, just imagine her just, wearing the same, typical, let me think. Just imagine her wearing, a robe, almost similar to, a Christian nun. A Christian nun, Nun. God damn it. So, as for Izuku is basically overhead as he sees Bakugo. Bakugo would say this, take this, you damn as he gets kicked right in the face by Loop Garou. As Loop Garou would say this, damn human, you dare try and fight my master. As he would say this, Loop Garou, take care of this Pomeranian. As for you, All Might. All Might would see Izuku right in front of him, as All Might would start getting ready a stance, as he would say this, stop this. I know that you're a kid, but please, you're just a kid, you can change. As he would say this world changed me for the better. They told me that I can just become anything I want. But they said I can become a hero. So why not become a villain instead? So, wait for a sec. So, he would summon up Elagor, as Elagor would start charging towards him with his spear as he stabs All Might's arm. As when All Might sees it, he would throw Elagor off his horse, as the horse would basically, well, actually more like both of them would disappear, as he would start charging towards Izuku, as he would say this, Fion Makul, it's your turn. As Fion would start charging towards him, as he would slice one of his arms off. Yep, well, he lost an arm. So, when he got his arm ripped off, everybody could clearly see this. One of the heroes, being Endeavor, would say this, "Why, you little..." As Izuku would say this, "You can go die, Endeavor. Allison, can you please take care of him?" As Alice would appear, as she would say her signature catchphrase, "Will you die for me?" As dark energy would appear around him, as he starts getting electrocuted, almost like intense pain is being shocked through his body, as he falls down to the ground, lifeless. The rest of the heroes are being overwhelmed by the rest of the villains, until reinforcements arrived. The reinforcements were just simple, low-level heroes, and some heroes in training that are basically trying to help. The villains would be told by Shigaraki to leave now because it's better time than never, as one Nomu would start charging towards, well, one teacher in particular. Yuzuku would tell them that there's this certain hero that's in the hero course as well, specifically a teacher by the name of Eraserhead, aka Aizawa. As the Nomu would charge towards Aizawa, as Aizawa would get punched right in the chest, causing him to bleed, as he would fall unconscious. The Nomu would start carrying the body of Aizawa, as the rest of the teachers would see this, as Midnight would say this, "Don't you dare," as she starts using her, wait for a second, her sleeping gas, as Satan would appear and blow the gas away, as everybody would just see this large, gigantic serpent that has, well, let's just say a rack, and I mean several racks. Like, why did he decide to just draw him with racks? I don't know why. Anyway, with bony like tails, where he also has a normal weird looking tail that resembles a fish. As everybody would just see this thing and they are afraid. As Izuku, transforming into his Nahobino form, would say this, "This is the power of the League of Villains. And now, your so-called Shoto Aizawa's ours. Now, let us go, Shigaraki." As Shigaraki would say this, "You didn't have to tell me twice, Limerick." As the rest of the villains would start leaving. As for, well, the three 1A students, specifically Ibara, Kendo, and Modoma, they would go back to their normal PE uniforms or jumpsuits or whatever you want to call them. As they say, what the hell happened?" As one of them would say this, "You didn't remember?" As one of them would say this, "Well, we didn't came to that, situation at all, so..." As one of them would say this, "The villains just stole Aizawa." As the rest of Class 1A, when they saw that Aizawa being captured by the villains, they would actually be devastated. Even though they think Aizawa is kind of an asshole most of the time, he was kind. So, seeing Aizawa basically captured by the League of Villains made them angry. So, Izuku would transform back into his normal form and basically pretend that he was hiding in the bathroom. As one student, specifically Todoroki, is basically trying to find the rest of the civilians, as he would see Izuku, as he would say this, "Kid, Are you perhaps, as he would say this, yeah, where's my mother? As he's basically pretending that he's concerned for his mother, as he would say this, maybe outside, maybe just, as he would say this, thank you, as he starts running away, pretending that he is concerned. So, after that, outside, all several news news stations are basically there talking to many of the civilians, as one of them would go towards Izuku, as one of them would say this. So, what do you think of this situation with the League of Villains? Terry Sports Festival. What are your thoughts? As he would say this. It was horrible. One of them almost tried to kill me. This hero didn't even save me, he would pretend. As the heroes would hear that, as one of them would say this. What do you mean? As Izuku would say this. The heroes didn't save me, they just left me to get killed until this white and red-haired man saved me. Those heroes, why did they forsaken me? He would pretend crying, as Inka would hear this, as he would, well, more like she would, go towards one of the heroes and slaps them, as she would say, why did you left my son to die, or at least one of you did? As they don't know what happened during that time, and they think, what the hell? Izuku is pretending to do this, pretending, or should I say, pretending that he, well, was forsaken by heroes, so it can make more divide towards the heroes. As the rest of, the people that are watching this thought, dang, those heroes are kind of assholes sometimes. But still, as some of these people would start going to villainy, and some would start joining the League of Villains faster. So, after that, it's basically the end of the day, as everybody starts going back to their dorms, as everybody is kind of concerned on what happened to Aizawa. Izuku would tell them that he was going to go somewhere important for a few hours. So, he would basically go back to the League of Villains base, as he would see Aizawa basically now quirkless because of All For One stealing his quirk. As he would say this, this was a great idea, Izuku. Stealing away the person that's able to use, well, a quirk that erases other quirks. Pretty smart move. As Izuku would say this, oh, I am quite smart, but it's all thanks to your technical genius and your quirk that allows you to use your genius intellect, Mr. All For One. Not only that, you're more of the brains of the operation. I'm more of the idea maker than anything else. As he would say this, don't be so modest, Izuku. Now, as for you, Mr. Shoto Aizawa, the hero Racerhead, mind, I don't know, dying. As Izuku would say this, with my pleasure. As Izuku would step out of the shadows, as Aizawa would say this, how? I thought you were quirkless. Bakugo told me about you. As Izuku would say this, oh, don't worry. I just gained my powers from a different source, and not All For One. And by the way, tell Bakugo when he dies that welcome is pretty good in hell. Where is where you'll be going. I meant, that is where you'll be going very frickin' soon, as he stabs, well, Aizawa right in the chest with his now albino form, using his sharp claws to start digging into his stomach, rearranging his, well, organs, as he would get his claws out and sees the blood drip from his fingertips. As Izuku would say this, how do you like that, Mr. Aizawa? Now, I guess this is enough, fun for today. Now, just die. As Aizawa would say this, the heroes would stop you. They will stop you. as Izuku would say this, heroes. They're no heroes in my eyes. They're nothing more than money-grubbing fools that only care about money and fame. Unlike you, Aizawa, I can see potential in you, but unfortunately, you're too far gone. Now, die. As you hear a large, crunching noise. That is the sound of, well, Aizawa's head being crushed under Izuku's sharp, or not really sharp, more like heavy boots. So, after that, Izuku would say this. So, what you gonna do with Aizawa's quirk? As he would say this. Oh, I'm just gonna give it to a certain person. A person that I've been meaning to give to for a long, long time. So, yeah. The, well, end of that day comes as Izuku would go back to his dorm, pretending that he's done with his little, duties from earlier, quote-unquote, as he would go to his dorm room, tell Shinso goodnight as he would go to sleep. So, yeah. That is basically what happened in this episode. So yeah, this is going to be the end of the episode, guys. So, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!